For nearly 60 years, the cast of Star Trek carried a quiet truth. At conventions, they smiled for cameras and signed autographs, but behind the scenes, resentment lingered, much of it aimed at their captain, William Shatner. Scripts were altered, tensions exploded, and friendships cracked under the pressure. Then in 2025, at 94 years old, Shatner finally broke his silence in a documentary that stunned Hollywood. What he admitted about his own behavior explained why so many kept their distance for decades. William Shatner was born in Montreal in 1931, the only son in a hard-working immigrant family. His father built a stable clothing business during the Great Depression, while his mother, a trained elocution teacher, shaped his voice and confidence. By 8 years old, William was already studying performance. By 10, he was reciting Shakespeare on stage. She pushed him relentlessly, but it gave him the powerful presence the world would later recognize. Before his teenage years, Shatner was already a voice actor on CBC Radio, performing weekly during World War II. Those broadcasts taught him how to command attention using only his voice. By the time he reached McGill University, he knew business was only his backup plan, his heart belonged to the stage. His path upward was anything but easy. Shatner swept floors, understudied roles, and performed in tiny theaters for almost no money. His Broadway breakthrough finally came in 1958 with The World of Susie Wong. After 508 performances, he was no longer a background actor, he was a rising star. Hollywood soon followed. He appeared in The Twilight Zone, The Man from UNCLE, and Judgment at Nuremberg. But everything changed in 1966 when he walked into Gene Roddenberry's office to audition for Star Trek. His commanding reading of Captain Kirk secured the role and sealed his place in history. Yet from the very first episodes, tension grew. During the pilot, Nichelle Nichols originally had 15 lines. By the final cut, only 5 remained, many reassigned to Shatner without explanation. Similar stories followed. George Takei lost major command scenes. Leonard Nimoy clashed repeatedly with Shatner over screen time, billing, and even personal pranks that escalated into public confrontations. A memo from Gene Roddenberry himself once labeled Shatner selfish and egocentric. Crew members quietly admitted years later that Shatner often dominated scenes, brushed off input, and pushed relentlessly for the spotlight. One argument was so intense it caused James Doohan to walk off set mid-rehearsal. Though Star Trek became a cultural phenomenon, behind the bridge doors, the harmony was far from perfect. Still, time marched on. Shatner returned for the films, delivered unforgettable moments in The Wrath of Khan, directed The Final Frontier, and reinvented himself decades later with his Emmy-winning role on Boston Legal. At 90, he even became the oldest man to travel into space. Yet the past never fully disappeared. In 2025, Shatner finally addressed it all. With visible emotion, he admitted that his ambition blinded him. "I was driven to excel," he said, "but I created riffs I deeply regret." For the first time, fans heard him publicly acknowledge that protecting Captain Kirk often mattered more to him than protecting the people beside him. It wasn't an excuse, it was a confession. After 6 decades of tension, rivalry, and unspoken hurt, his words offered something rare in Hollywood: closure. Not a rewriting of history, but an acceptance of it. And sometimes, that's the bravest role of all. If you enjoyed this deep dive into untold Hollywood history, make sure to subscribe to Hollywood Unseen, hit the bell icon, and never miss the stories they never wanted you to hear.